Right. Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, hello, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to today's SACAC webinar. We will give you just a few seconds to get situated and to familiarize yourselves with this virtual platform before we get started. As you are coming into this virtual space, we do encourage you to utilize the chat to share your introductions with us and with those who are joining us for the webinar. And then we also encourage you to let us know what you are most excited to learn about or explore during your time with us in this virtual space today. All right. So with that in mind, we are going to get started. So again, hello everyone. My name is Nayada Schuler, and I serve as the current chair of the SACAC Webinars Committee and will be assisting behind the scenes with technical support as well as monitoring the Q&A and chat throughout the webinar. On behalf of SACAC and the webinar committee, we would like to welcome you to the first webinar of the 2025 to 2026 academic year. Today's webinar is titled Going for Gold, Maximizing Travel Perks and Rewards. We're excited to partner with our presenters for today's webinar, which is ultimately designed to assist you all with exploring all the best work perks of travel as we look ahead and navigate the fall travel season. A few housekeeping notes before we begin. This is a webinar format, so audience mics are muted. We do encourage you to use the Q&A box if you have any questions for the presenters, as well as the chat function to introduce yourselves and to engage with one another and the presenters as well. And then towards the end of our session today, we will open the floor for a formal Q&A. So again, welcome to the webinar. Just a note as well, this webinar is being recorded and will be later shared for future viewing. Again, thank you for joining us. And now I will pass things over to our presenters to get us started.
Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. We're excited to be here and we're excited to share something that I think the three of us are really passionate about, and that is maximizing your travel perks and rewards while you hit the road in the admissions field. But first, I guess we'll start up with introductions. My name is Andrew Harlow. I work at Worcester Polytechnic Institute in Worcester, Massachusetts. I am regionally located in Orlando. I've been with WPI for a little over a year, and I've been in admissions going into my sixth travel season. Um, I got into the world of admissions partly because the allure and idea of getting free points and free hotel stays. So, throughout my time in admissions, I've managed to be a Titanium Elite member with Marriott for 6 years now. I'm a silver member with United, a silver member with Delta. I'm an executive member with National Rental Car, a silver level with Enterprise National Car, and I do hold a Priority Pass membership, which gets you access into various lounges at airports around the world. And then we decided to go away from professional headshots and instead show you a photo of us on our travels that we've been able to maybe do with some of our work perks. So this past summer, I went to South Africa. I went to 5 different countries. And this was me on a boat safari in Botswana at the Chobe National Park. And I managed to use hotel points, Marriott points specifically, to be able to convert them to United miles. So my entire airlines round trip were covered by miles.
Everybody, and if you are looking at the screen, I am the middle picture here, and I'm dreaming about that pizza at this moment. My name is Tara Nealon. I am the Director of Regional Recruitment and Professional Development with Hampden-Sydney College in beautiful Hampden-Sydney, Virginia. Like Andrew, I am regional. I am based in Tampa, Florida, and cover Florida and Georgia for Hampden-Sydney. And prior to that, I was regional with Muhlenberg College. So I've been in the regional world since fall of 2018 and in admissions, either at college admissions or a college counselor for almost 25 years. This picture was taken in Italy 2 summers ago, where part of my flight was funded through points and miles. So I almost just stayed in Italy instead of paying for that plane ticket back. My status update with Marriott Bonvoy, I am Titanium Elite, Lifetime Gold with Hilton, I am Silver. Delta, I am Gold. Usually I can achieve Silver just through travel alone, and I'm grateful to my cousin for gifting me Gold. Southwest, I'm a basic Rapid Rewards member, so starting at the very beginning, like many on the call, probably. And Enterprise Platinum and National Standard Emerald Club. Max.
All right. Well, hello everyone. My name is Max Gold. I'm a regional admissions counselor, also based in Florida, like everyone else here on the panel. I work for Montclair State University, which is a state university up in New Jersey. But like I said, I'm based in Boca Raton, Florida. I've been in admissions for about 5 years, but my whole life has pretty much been solely dedicated to aviation in my free time, so I am very passionate about anything airplanes, airlines, whatever. I can pretty much name you any airline in the United States and tell you where they go. So I am very passionate about that, and you could probably take a guess of what I'm probably going to talk about later. When it comes to the statuses, I'm probably the lowest tiered of statuses accruing, but I've also only been in admissions for about 5 years now. Um, I have, funny enough, really no airline status, considering my passion for the airlines, but I don't fly as much anymore. The only airline status I do have is Spirit Airlines, which I'm proud of. I love Spirit. They get me to and from wherever I need to go. And then I got Marriott Platinum, and then I am also National Executive Elite when it comes to the rental car, because the primary function of my job requires me to travel in cars. So, yeah, there's that. And then the picture that you see there, I used Spirit Airlines points and Marriott points to fund my trip to Atlanta a couple of years ago for my birthday. Everything was free. And I actually accrued enough Chipotle points where half of my meals were free as well. I had Chipotle the whole time. So I basically did that trip for free. And the reason why I went to Atlanta is because at that point in time, I'd never been to Atlanta, and I wanted to visit the Delta Flight Museum, which, if anyone's been to, it's probably the best airline museum known to man. That's also me, like 20 pounds heavier. So I'm like ready to get off the slide. But yeah, that's what my picture relates to, and I had to put something airplane related, of course. So before we get into like the topics, I'll briefly just go over the table of contents and what we're going to be learning today. So the first portion is going to basically go over the perks, promos, points, and miles. So anything that you're going to be able to accrue to benefit yourself, and just the brand loyalty and that sort of thing. So we'll go over the hotels, we'll go over the airline mileage programs, we'll go over the car rental companies, and then food and restaurant apps as well, because you need to eat while you're on the road. We'll also talk about cross-brand utilization, and we'll go into that a little more in depth. We'll also talk about the best apps for the road and what will help with that while you're recruiting, and what some of the things you could download to benefit you. And then paying for travel. So we'll do a brief kind of thing about credit card points and that sort of thing. And then we'll have a Q&A, of course, at the end. But first, I'm going to turn it back to Andrew. We're going to do a little poll here.
Oh, Andrew.
Sorry, technical difficulties. So if you're viewing this on a laptop or something and you have an extra device around, such as an iPad or a smartphone, feel free to go ahead and scan this QR code. It's going to take you to a little survey that we have for you. We'll give you about a minute or so, or however long it takes for the answers to stop coming in. But it's a very simple question. The QR code should be on the next slide as well, I believe. Yes, it is. So the question is, what travel reward or perk are you most excited for? and you can select up to two answers here. So yep, the answers are already coming in. If you're having problems getting onto Slido, again, you can scan the QR code or you can go to the website and type in the survey code, which is 66629457. But yeah, feel free to select up to two options. It looks like hotel points are in first place and airlines. Very much, yeah, makes sense. I get it. I started this job again thinking I'd be able to get, free hotels and free travel stuff. So, yeah, looks like 14 people have voted so far. Anyone else, if you're interested? There's no right or wrong answer. I guess nobody cares about rental car days or points. I mean, a free rental car is pretty cool, right? Um, All right, awesome. I think we can probably go on to the second one. It looks like it's gotten a little slow here. So we now have another question. Your phone should have refreshed to show the second question. So the question is, how loyal are you when it comes to sticking with specific hotel, airline, or rental brands? Your options are 100% loyal. You either jump around, try a few things. Maybe you're new to the profession, you're signing up today, you're still figuring out what's best for you. And we had to include the y'all travel because we figured there might be at least one or two people on this call who don't really travel much in their current roles. But yes, again, no correct answer here, but I think we are sort of wanting you to lean towards brand loyal 100% because when you stay loyal, that's when you get those better points or miles and you accrue status a little bit faster. So awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I think we can move on to the next slide.
Sounds like we have some work to do. We can maybe flip those 40% of the respondents to being brand loyalists after this. Okay, everybody, it's point season. So sometimes travel is extensive, right? And we've seen our hotel rooms more than our own beds. Sometimes we're between so many hotels that I need to write down my hotel room number for the third hotel of the week. It can be exhausting, we know. Our work is rewarding, yes, in and of itself. And sometimes I like to refer the school year's travel season to be called points season. So shout out to my buddy Freddie at GW if he's watching this on record or here today. He was part of that conversation when I was reframing this in my brain. So welcome to point season, everyone. As I said in my introduction, I am with Marriott primarily. I am Titanium Elite status with Lifetime Gold. According to Marriott, I think I'm 2 years from Lifetime Platinum Elite, which is achieved through over 600 nights lifetime and 10 years of Platinum Elite status or higher. I don't know if that makes me an expert or that means my next member perk might be like a scouting sash with a badge on it. I'm not sure. With Hilton, I am Silver Elite. Couple really neat things about Hilton. If you are unfamiliar, at some properties, you can check in on the app and you can actually pick your very own room to take away the mystery of the associate assigning your room for you. I also find that Hilton's mobile keys on the phone work much better than other brands' mobile keys. And with very little research in this subject, it seems like Hilton has better options for using points at all-inclusive and nice, but not quite extravagant tropical hotels if you too were looking to fund a vacation with your hotel points. I stay about 5 to 10 nights in Hilton properties, like when I'm at Hamden, Sydney, where we do not have a Marriott in town, or at SACAC next month. So I joined Hyatt just to have a member number attached to the reservation. I have no loyalty to the brand Hyatt, but my thinking is that if they see a member number attached to the reservation, well, it's kind of like demonstrating interest. Okay, so here are a couple key decisions. If you are new watching this or new joining us, a couple key decisions that new admission professionals will make starting their job that can lead to big rewards in the hotel space. The bottom line, the fastest way to status and perks is loyalty, as best you can, sticking with the one brand. I chose to go with Marriott because when I started as a regional, that was in 2018 when Sheraton Starwood properties and Marriott properties were coming together. So I saw it as streamlining all of my hotels since I had both of those memberships just to join them together. So that's why I am Marriott, and it seems to be working well for me. So how do you decide what's best for you? Couple things, couple strategies to find out which hotel brand, where do you feel more comfortable, obviously is a good way to start. Take a poll of people in your office, or if you're in a regional group, like I know a couple people are in the session today, you can ask your local regional group to take a poll. You can ask your colleague, a colleague in your office who is more familiar with your territory, since there are parts of the country that might be more prevalent with other hotel brands. Remember that joining a hotel brand's loyalty program is free to you. Just like when you tell students to apply for scholarships and never pay for them, joining the loyalty is free to you and you earn the rewards for your loyalty. Brand loyalty leads to member rates, room upgrades, club lounge access, think breakfast in the morning before you head out to your school visits, faster accrual points, welcome gifts. So when you're booking your hotel rooms, and I've seen this with Marriott, Hilton, and Holiday Inn brands, you'll see variety of rates, and oftentimes there's a member rate. So when you're a member, you can use that rate. If you know you're going, a little tip here, if you know you're going to have that complimentary breakfast or access to the club lounge, go ahead and remember to keep some cash in your suitcase or your travel bag for tips for those complimentary breakfasts. As I mentioned too, you get faster points accrual. For example, with Titanium Level with Marriott, earns 75% point bonus for each stay. And welcome gifts. We hear this a lot. Well, I hear this specifically. Welcome back, Miss Nealon. Thank you for being a Titanium Elite member. Would you like points or a food and beverage credit for your stay? I always pick the points, and they do usually offer a snack or a bottle of water. And for anybody in the room who knows, I love the environment. So bring your water bottle and refill it in the gym. Decline that plastic water bottle. There are also status gifts. When one achieves a new level or an annual status gift, you can unlock a reward. These rewards can be a one-night stay. They could be, for Marriott, a 5-night stay credit. So that might be able to help you bump up to that next level of status. Discounts on beds, sheets, and towels if you really embrace the brand that much and want it in your own house. And also a selection that Marriott will make a donation at a select nonprofit. And there are other perks. Those are just the ones that I can remember. My favorite perks of having status and being loyal to Marriott specifically is the late checkout. I'm at the level that I can ask for a 4 p.m. checkout. I do not abuse this by any means, but when I need it, it is very handy to have. It is very comfortable to be able to use that space on that day of travel. The lifetime status, I really do appreciate with Marriott as well. I've also found that if I don't check in on the app when I'm beyond that cancellation date, that if I have to call to edit my reservation in any way, whether canceling it or extending it or shortening it, I have a little bit more leeway and forgiveness when I call the hotel, when I call Marriott Bonvoy customer service. And then there's a bonus perk, everyone. You know how when you pull up to a high school, or maybe those of us in the room who haven't been to a high school visit yet, sometimes, occasionally, you pull up to the high school and your name or your college's name is on the signpost telling you where to park, a reserved spot just for you. How special. Well, guess what? That happens at hotels too. I know Hilton Properties does it. The Marriott in Boca Raton has this too, that certain status has a parking lot. Of course, I'm a big fan of moving and taking those steps during the day, but sometimes after 4 high school visits and a college fair, you just want to park as close to the front door as possible. And one last thing, a little pro tip here, be on the lookout for promotions. These vary. So Andrew, Max, and I are Marriott Loyal. I am in a promotion right now to earn bonus points for a Friday or Saturday night stay. They weren't offered that promotion. Andrew, I think, just finished a promotion a couple weeks ago. If anyone figures out that algorithm, I'd be curious to learn about it. There's no consistency to this. Sometimes they're emailed, sometimes they just appear in the app. And in the Marriott app, you would go to account and under promotions and offers. So that is my download of hotel points. So think of your questions and drop them in the chat. And I will pass this over to Max to talk about the next popular one, miles and airlines.
Yeah, awesome. So a lot of you will probably be flying, or if you're not flying for work, you guys are probably taking a plane somewhere at some point. A little bit more about my background. I got my bachelor's degree in aviation management from Lynn University. Shout out Lynn. Um, and again, I'm just super passionate about this. I mean, for like probably from age 5 until now, I like have been like just researching and like loving airlines. So it's just like the thing that I nerd out about. So when it comes to this topic, I'm pretty knowledgeable in it. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the hub system and what airline you should choose when you're starting out travel and you're starting out the perks. Whether it's you're choosing it because your Marriott status is going to get you to a certain status with another airline, which is going to talk about another slide, or it's just because you're going to be flying this airline more frequently because of the destinations you're going to. So two ways you can look at it. One, you can base it off if you are near a major hub. So in the South, the three major hubs in our Southeast region pretty much are Atlanta, so Delta. You got Charlotte, which is American, and then you also have Miami, which is American as well. United doesn't really have a big presence in the South besides Houston, so some of you might be utilizing that. And then Orlando is kind of a mixed bag because they have hubs for Delta, JetBlue, Spirit, Frontier, and a bunch of other stuff, and Southwest. And then Southwest is another beast that would probably take another PowerPoint to go over with Southwest. So if you're planning on flying Southwest, they're a whole nother animal. But if you plan on flying out of those major hubs, especially if you're near Atlanta, Charlotte, or Miami, I would stick with those airlines out of those hubs because the most connectivity that you're going to get is for that. The other way you can look at it is if you're flying to destinations that have hubs. For example, I work for an institution that is near Newark Airport, and when I fly back to campus, I'm using United a lot because United's the main hub for Newark. You can also do it that way. When I used to recruit Atlanta, I used to do the Midwest. So United made the best was the best decision for me because of the Chicago hub with United. I know some of my colleagues in the past, like they would use JetBlue because they had a big Los Angeles hub at one point. Um, if you're even allowed to use the low cost airlines, I mean they're very tricky to kind of handle, but like Spirit, for example, is big in Fort Lauderdale. Allegiant has a Sanford base, which is not even the Orlando MCO. So again, just trying to figure out what hub is probably best and to fly out of, and also if you don't have an airline hub near you, where you're flying to's hub, because more than likely you're flying into some airline's hub and spoke system, as they call it. If you are someone that's like before this job, I was a Delta loyalist, and now I live in New Orleans, for example, but I'm okay with connecting in Atlanta every time. There's people that do that. I know, like now that I travel to Atlanta for work, I do fly Delta probably just as frequently as I do with United. So I'm trying to get statuses for both. So there's things like that too, where you might are okay with going into a different hub and connecting. I do not recommend connecting through Charlotte. I know there's some American Airlines loyalists probably on this call, but Charlotte is by far the worst airport to connect in. Going from those D gates to the A gates is like essentially crossing 4 different airports. So I don't recommend it at all. But Atlanta, I actually think is the best airport in the United States. A lot of people are going to argue otherwise, but I think when it comes to efficiency and connectivity, you could probably make a 30-minute connection if your plane's on time, no problem. So I think choosing that as well is important too. Now, when it comes to alliances, this will be pretty important because if you are either A, someone who travels internationally personally, or B, travels internationally for work, these alliances will actually help you connect globally as well. So you'll see on that left side of the screen the different alliances. So the first one, Star Alliance, One World, and Sky Team. Those are the big three. There's also some partnerships with airlines. For example, I have on here Blue Sky. If you are now a JetBlue Mosaic member or a United, I believe it's Gold member, you can cross-brand utilization, which we'll talk about a little bit, where you can utilize both airlines' points in both statuses. So a lot of people, if you have United Gold and you want to fly JetBlue as new destination where they started flying from JFK to Dublin, you can utilize that through United or vice versa. The Star Alliance is the same way, where Star Alliance for Star Alliance, that's usually United. So if you're a United loyalist, but you are planning a trip to Greece, you can fly Aegean over in Greece and use United points for that. Or a big one in Star Alliance, for example, is also for people that go to Canada, which I know is a popular destination. Um, you can utilize United points for Air Canada, vice versa. So all those alliances have interconnected points. I do recommend that if you are going to accumulate these points, book it on your main airline's website. So if your main airline is United, Delta, or American, book it on their website. Typically, they'll show the rate as well if like the aircraft is operated by British Airways. So like for example, if the cheaper rate from Miami to London is British Airways, but you want to get your American points, you can typically book that British Airways flight on the American website. Sometimes the price varies depending on the website, but most of the time it's pretty much the same. So that's just to give you an idea a little bit about how you can utilize your points on airlines here in the United States that you're accruing globally as well. Andrew gave a good example in the beginning that he went pretty much free. Actually, I think he did go free on points to his trip to South Africa, and he was able to actually utilize some of those points from United on South African Airways. So, that's a perfect example of it. The last thing I also want to talk about the airlines is people have a debate of like what's the best airline. I'll be completely frank, none of the airlines are good in the United States. They're all pretty terrible at the end of the day, comparatively when you see stuff like Emirates and that sort of thing. But this middle picture shows you what the most satisfying airlines were to customers. And a lot of the customers that are pulled from this data are based on business and not leisure. So these are business travelers doing it. And you'll be surprised to see like some of these numbers. Like I'm not so shocked to see Spirit at the bottom, but I am actually kind of shocked to see Allegiant almost at the top. So like, that sort of thing. I think Allegiant's big just because they have a ton of connectivity to rural places in the United States. I know I've like utilized in the past. There's an Allegiant flight to like Savannah, Georgia from Fort Lauderdale, which I thought, is kind of niche coming from Florida. And then Alaska, if you are flying to Seattle or the Pacific Northwest for travel, Alaska is the airline that I recommend to everyone. They just partnered with Hawaiian, they're partnered with JetBlue, they're partnered with American, and they're partnered with Emirates. So Alaska is probably the number one airline in the United States. And then American, that's why sometimes I like look at this data and I'm like, really, American's the second most satisfying, but I think a lot of it has to do with their partnerships and that sort of thing too. So that's pretty much my spiel. I know I said last thing, but the one last thing I'll say is that if anyone does have any concerns about flying in general, please feel free to reach out to me. I know a lot of my friends reach out when they're curious about why is my plane making this noise or why is there turbulence here? Like, if you have any questions or anything about aviation, I'm your go-to person. Just a reminder that aviation is the safest mode of transportation, regardless of what you hear in the news and social media. It is completely safe. Pilots are always more than welcome to talk to you in the cockpit if you want to go up to them. But yeah, so that's my spiel for aviation. We're going to go to Andrew next.
Thank you, Max. Kind of like the last big piece of savings or loyalty that you may accrue is going to be through those rental cars. So, they say that traveling admissions counselors are known as the road warriors. And so you're likely going to be doing one of three things. You are most likely going to be in a rental car. You're most likely going to be in a state provided vehicle if you work for like a larger state school, or in the very rare chance, but sometimes more common than not, you might be driving your own vehicle and getting mileage reimbursement. But this next topic is specifically about rental cars. I can only speak from my own experience as a enterprise holdings user. The Enterprise Holdings Group would be Enterprise, National, and Alamo. I don't have experience doing company travel with Hertz or Budget or Dollar or Thrifty or Sixt or any of the other ones that are pictured in the background here. Um, but what I will tell you that if you work for a school that encourages you to use Enterprise, or you might even have a direct booking code or a discount code with Enterprise, I am here to tell you that that code will also work for National Rental Car. And I have worked for three schools so far, and I have only learned that on my second school that Enterprise and National talk together. And the point, or sorry, the discount code or the billing code would work for both. So the thing about Enterprise is you'll find Enterprise in almost every city of most size here in the US. You'll see Enterprises on the corner next to Walmart or Target or next to the gas station or next to the grocery store, whatever. But with National Rental Car, you usually will only find those at airport locations. I feel like I am the extreme minority that there is a national that is a standalone from the airport located here in Orlando. It's actually the one on Walt Disney World property of all places. And I live pretty close to there, so that's actually where I go for most of my cars. But the reason I am telling you about this difference of enterprise versus national is, in my humble opinion, I think national is a much better car rental experience, and it's because of their loyalty program. So with enterprise, you typically are selecting a specific class of vehicle. Let's say you get like a standard sedan, like a Toyota Camry. Then you're charged for that standard sedan, and they're going to give you a Toyota Camry or a similar size sedan. Or if you are lucky, they may give you a complimentary upgrade to an SUV or a van or a truck, or you might even get like a luxury car potentially. But those upper tier, like premium cars, are usually pretty hard to come by at those small standalone next to Walmart locations just because they only have a handful of cars in their inventory. You might have better chances of an upgrade at an Enterprise at the airport. But if you're going to the airport to get Enterprise, I would really encourage you to go with National instead. National has their Emerald Club membership, which is free to join. There's no cost. The only cost involved is when you acquire status through Emerald Club, it's by renting cars through National. But with Emerald Club, it allows you the opportunity to pick your own vehicle from the Emerald Club aisle. And then if you get higher status with National, you can also pick from the executive aisle. And this allows you to book your standard vehicle, your Toyota Camry rate, for example, but you can pick any car in the aisle of your choosing. And at the Orlando airport, because there's so many families that come to Orlando for vacation, there's a lot of minivans, there's a lot of SUVs, especially like the big SUVs, like the Wagoneers and the Ford Expeditions and the Tahoes and stuff like that. But you'll also have quite the assortment of pickup trucks. Believe it or not, I actually love a pickup truck. Or a smaller SUV, like a Nissan Rogue is great, or like the Nissan Pathfinder is perfect with all your materials in the back and stuff. I've had Camaro convertible sports cars before. I barely fit in it, but it was worth it. Had a BMW sedan once, had a BMW SUV once. I mean, it really just kind of depends on the inventory. Yeah, Terra minivans are pretty great for this industry, I will say. And they have like good pickup. And I actually had a Chrysler Pacifica, which is like sort of like a minivan, but it was like top of the line, including air conditioning seats, which in Florida, oh my goodness, is the best feature in the world. But anyway, I really encourage you that if you are able to pick up from an airport, to go ahead and book with National so you can pick your own vehicle. I know you can't probably tell if you don't know me personally, but I am 6'7". I am a really big guy, and I do not fit well in sedans of any kind. But with National, I can pay for a sedan and then pick any car of my choice, including those SUVs or luxury cars. So that's really cool. And then just another topic on rental cars and being a road warrior, I would definitely encourage you to look into a AAA membership. I have AAA personally. Your school probably won't pay for it, but you could maybe ask if they could, or maybe they have a discount or something. But with AAA, it gets you that like roadside service, really anywhere in the country that you are, where they can come put on a spare tire for you, give you a few gallons of gas, help you with electrical problems, and it all comes included with your service. You also can get national and local discounts with AAA. So back to Tara's conversation about hotels, I use the AAA rate constantly when booking hotels. Because I work for a private institution, I am not eligible for the state rate, which that is something I think Tara maybe didn't mention is newsflash, if you work for a state school, like a public university or college supported by the state that you live in, you should be eligible to use the state government rate, which can really save your institution a significant amount of dollars for hotels. Private schools, unfortunately, you are private entities. You only work for your school. You're not supported by the state. So you ideally are not eligible for that discount. A lot of hotels in the recent world have been double checking those discounts. So if you think you're sneaking by with a government rate, just be prepared that the hotel might say, we need to see your government issued ID. And if you can't provide that, then you'll be charged like the rack rate for the night, which would be way higher than any other discounted rate. But anyway, back to AAA. It's a really good discount tool. And again, they have like a whole app and they have all these discounts. And you'd be surprised, like there's a lot of like touristy things like that you might be doing on vacation that would offer AAA discounts. And then last but not least, fuel rewards. If you're in a rental car or if somebody else, your institution is paying for your gas, you might as well sign up for fuel rewards. So, I mean, I have Speedway and I get 5 cents off a gallon and it doesn't mean much, but then eventually when you get so much gas, you might get 25 cents off a gallon. Or I know 7-Eleven with their rewards account, they have a feature where you can lock the price within a certain geographic distance. So like if price of gas goes really far down somewhere that you are, you can lock in the price of like 2.75 a gallon, and then you can once it skyrockets back up to 3.25 a gallon, you can still get it for 2.75. So it's nice to be able to say like when you are getting so many gallons of gas in your rental cars, all those points or reward dollars that you might earn from your institution rental cars, you can then use for your own personal gas, since I know we're all in the market of saving money. So that is just kind of my rundown of rental cars specifically. And again, I don't know too much about the other brands. I'm very so brand loyal. I would never go somewhere else unless I was forced to. So, but I feel like a lot of those other rental companies like Avis or Dollar or Thrifty or Budget or Hertz probably have their own points accruing program. So. And then, Max, are you talking about this one?
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to get the unmute button. But yeah, so we talked a little bit about cross-brand utilization. And this is essentially those points where if you start getting loyal and you start building status up with Marriott or the airlines or the hotels or National or whatever, you can start utilizing them on other platforms. So a couple of just examples that we used. The biggest one that I think we kind of all utilize here on the panel, or if not, we have in the past, is the Marriott Bonvoy to United. So if you become a Titanium Elite member, which is the second highest status with Marriott, which for a lot of us road warriors is actually like pretty easy to obtain. If you receive that, you'll actually become Premier Gold with United. And with United, that's awesome because you'll get complimentary bag checks, you'll get preferred seating. If not on check-in, you'll actually get Economy Plus with them. When I was Premier Gold with United, when I worked for Lynn, because I was flying a lot more with them, I was able to be upgraded to first class a couple times, which in my lifetime I never experienced up until that point. And then I know there's other hotels that will have these statuses too. I know IHG partners with another airline as well too of stuff. And then another big one is Uber and Sky Miles. So a lot of us are probably still Ubering. I know, like for example, in about 2 hours, I got an Uber to get my rental car. So connecting your Uber to your Sky Miles account would be a very big benefit because you can get some Uber miles, or sorry, Sky Miles with Uber and vice versa. And that can help you build your status with Delta, which I didn't really mention before, but Delta's status is very difficult to obtain unless you're flying like all the time. And then there's a lot of benefits when it comes to Starbucks. Starbucks has a lot of like connectivity with the airlines, has a Marriott benefit as well. You can see here the different perks and rewards that you can get through the Starbucks app. And then there's a bunch of other rewards too. So when it comes to cross-brand utilization, make sure you're looking at the website of your hotel and your airline to see what other points you can accrue with those. But yeah, those are the primary examples. I don't know if you guys have any others that I missed, but I know there's like the few that we came up with before.
I mean, we were just talking in the planning of this just a few days ago. I noticed that like with Marriott and Starbucks, if you get three Starbucks purchases within a week, you'll only get 100 Marriott points. But also, if you purchase Starbucks products when you are staying in a Marriott property, you'll get double stars for that purchase. And I had no idea about that. And as a Starbucks loyalist, and even though the apple crisp syrup did not come back this year, so I don't know if I can be as loyal anymore. But also as a Marriott loyalist, that's like a really good perk because I'm very passionate about those two brands.
Right. Exactly. So those are just the many benefits of having statuses. And you again, you could really just have one status with Marriott, for example. You can unlock all these other things. So yeah. I don't know who we decided to do this. I mean, I could start with one of the apps if you want. So, I mean, I'll do the aviation one since I feel like that's on brand for me at this point. The two that are big and they're pretty similar to each other is Flight Radar and Flight Aware. I use Flight Radar almost daily because, again, I'm a nerd and I like looking at the planes in the sky. I'm like, oh, what plane's flying over? Is it Spirit Airlines from Fort Lauderdale to Columbus? Yes, it is. And I like confirm that with the app. But essentially, the radar will show you where your plane is, where the planes are going. All you have to do is type in, for example, I just came from Atlanta. So Atlanta to Palm Beach, you type that in into the search bar and you're able to see where your flight status is. And you can also check the airplane, what type of airplane. If you upgrade the app to like the gold status, you can see how old the airplane is. You can see where it's been, you can see where it's coming from. And the scary part is if you zoom out, you can see that there's thousands of planes in the sky. So if you're a little fearful of flying, I maybe would not get this app and zoom out right away. But if you're trying to track your flights, Flight Aware again is kind of a similar thing as well too, where you're able to track these flights. And a lot of times the data on these apps are sometimes better than the airlines themselves. So I always recommend it, especially if you're going to fly a lot, or if you're just like an av geek like me who likes seeing all the planes in the sky.
And Monica added a suggested app in the chat too for the Upside app for gas rewards. So that can go along with recommended apps also.
Yeah, and then I'm a big fan of like fetch rewards, which is similar to Ibotta if you've ever heard of that before. So these are different reward apps that encourage you to purchase specific products where brands will come in and like sponsor a product to ideally get you to buy, but then you'll get a little bit of cash back in the form of points. Just recently, I just redeemed 100,000 fetch rewards for $100 worth of gift cards, and I got that 100,000 just through scanning my receipts. So if you work for a school where you have to keep receipts and you have to log all your receipts for your expense report, you're probably already taking a picture of those receipts. So open up the Fetch Rewards app and scan it. You never know what might be included. I mean, truly, it's like you might buy a certain brand of ice cream and you might get like 5,000 points back, which is worth $5, but the ice cream only cost you $7, so like it only made it $2, you know. And there's also certain brands out there. There have actually been Marriott promotions before where it's like if you're staying in a certain brand with Marriott, that you can get extra fetch rewards back. And then the last slide we have for you is a credit card slide. And this is something that I'm really passionate about, but I want to be fully transparent and say that I am not soliciting or selling you a credit card. I am not telling you to go into debt. I am not telling you to put that hard check on your credit score report. But what I am telling you is that if you are responsible for your own travel, even if you're getting reimbursed later or halfway through the travel season, I would really encourage you, if it is in your best interest, to look into some travel credit cards. So I just put this statement here. I try to keep it as vague as possible, but if you're paying for travel on your own, consider a points accruing credit card to allow you the opportunity to gain points that can be used for discounted or free travel. Many travel cards will have low annual fees, such as $99 for the year, or less, and offers bonus points when spending on hotels, airfare, checked baggage, car rentals, restaurants, dining, entertainment, and more. Some credit cards come with the added benefit of airport lounge access, such as Priority Pass, which is what I have. TSA pre-check reimbursement, where if you pay for it with the credit card, you'll get that money fully refunded back to you. Some credit cards, especially airline credit cards, will come with free checked bags. You can get discounted rates on rental cars. You can get special offers where you get cash back on specific brands. There are some premium cards that come with additional higher tier benefits, but those also come with higher annual fees. So you just kind of have to weigh the pros and the cons. Some of the best travel cards out there, I'm not going to really make any recommendations, but you can find them on different websites and blogs. There's also this person. His name is the Points Guy. His name is Brian. I guess he's like an influencer in a way, but he talks all about loyalty programs and perks and rewards, and you can really find out a lot of great ways to save, including the best travel cards to get. And then also you can just ask around your office if people have travel cards, and maybe they can send you a referral link. That way they can get some points and you can get some points. That is actually how I got my first ever travel card, was through a colleague of mine. And I mean, I met the minimum spending threshold like that because you're spending thousands of dollars on hotels and whatnot. And then we both got bonus points, which was nice. So we'll just leave it at that blanket statement. Again, I don't want to encourage you to go into debt or anything, but it is good that if you're able to pay for your own travel, you can really get some great points out of it. All right, and so we do have one more survey for you. There's the QR code again, or the website. It is a very simple question. There is technically a right answer, but I guess they're also both right. And that question is, after listening to today's webinar, how loyal are you to sticking with a specific travel-related brand? Oh, is it going? Let's see. Maybe I need to hit. Oh, no, it is going. Yeah. Brand loyal 1,000%. Brand loyal 100%. Oh, it's not. I'm sorry. It's not updating on our slide, but it's updating on my screen, which I'm not sharing. But yeah, so we hope that from this experience of learning from us, again, that you have learned some tips, and there we go, that you've learned some tips and tricks of staying loyal to brands and how staying loyal can build you status and help you get a lot of points that you can ideally use for your own travels or your own savings outside of work. So, with that being said, we have about 10 minutes left on our webinar. If you have any questions, you unfortunately cannot unmute yourselves, but if you want to put it in the chat or use the Q&A feature, we would be happy to address those questions for you.
Hey, Shay, glad you're here.
Yeah, and then if everyone didn't see, there is a message that Tara put in there about Delta Sky Miles that they guarantee your bag on the belt within 20 minutes. And if not, you can get 2,500 bonus points. Um, there are also, when you achieve status with Marriott, I believe Hilton as well, but with Marriott, there are certain guarantees they have for you as an elite member. And if those guarantees are not met, or if they're not met in a certain time, you can actually push for compensation in the form of points, which is nice. So, but
Also,
yeah,
actually, never mind. I'm reading Tara's thing, and I'm like, I was just about to say what you literally took. So my bag
yeah.
came the other day, 18 minutes and 9 seconds, and I was like, God, it's like so close to getting those free miles.
I mean, this was just a couple weeks ago. I was at the Richmond airport, and at the 21-minute mark, I submitted the form. And then they couldn't even get the hold open where the luggage was. So I was like, okay, this is.
Um, it's just one last thing about the airlines that I thought of, and this is not necessarily a travel reward perk, but if you do end up flying any of the low-cost airlines, just keep in mind that there is a fine line under where if you miss a connection with Spirit, Allegiant, or Frontier, I know Spirit is the one that I usually see this, especially with international destinations, that they are technically not responsible for you to rebook on their airline. So you might have to pay an extra fee to just get re-booked for not missing your connection, which is totally their fault, but they make that in the fine line, so like you have to buy their travel insurance. So keep in mind that if like I know, like I said, I'm a Spirit loyalist, but that's mainly just because I'm cheap and like they're the cheapest airline out there. But if you do end up utilizing them for work, just like keep that in mind that like there's some weird fine prints in some of these low cost airlines that even if you're going to save your university a couple bucks or two, it's probably not worth it. Again, it's kind of up to what your institution and what you prefer, but um, I know that's just like kind of like one of those weird things about the low cost airlines that they really try to get everything out of you. So.
Oh, Shay asks, how long do you have to fill out the form? My bag took like 30 minutes the other day. So I've go to the form because it asks you your flight number, and I think it asks for the date also. So I imagine with if it's in a reasonable window of time, um, they can they can give you those points. So go ahead and give it a try. Let me know what happens, Shay. But yeah, I from what I recall when I did it, and it was pretty late at night, so I might not remember all the details, but it's flight number for sure, and I think the date that you traveled.
For some reason, as for the bag number, it's also in your history for most airlines.
Oh
So
yeah, good
so they might
point. So
ask
your
for
bag
that.
number would be in your account history too if it asks for that.
Yeah.
Good luck,
I,
Shay. Let me know what happens.
I guess we did a pretty good job though, because no one has any questions.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much to our audience. Thank you all for joining us for today's webinar and the first of the academic year. And to our presenters, thank you so much for the resources you've shared, some of the apps that you mentioned. I did not have downloaded on my phone, so I downloaded it in the background. Again, thank you all so much for joining us for today's webinar. And to our presenters, thank you as well. From here, we wish you all safe travels as you prepare for a spirited college admission travel season ahead. As a reminder, today's webinar has been recorded and will be available for future viewing on SACAC's YouTube channel. So again, have a great day, have a great travel season, and we wish you all the best.